You are listening to the Curtis King Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Curtis King Podcast. For those of you that are subscribed, I want to say thank you for showing your support. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, man, thank you for your support. If you're not subscribed and if this is your first time listening to the Curtis King Podcast, please do me a favor, subscribe. And tell your friends about my my peak in puberty right now when I say subscribe. Tell your friends about this amazing podcast. I'm patting myself on the back because we're getting better and better with time. And especially with last week's guest, I'm really excited about the future of the Curtis King Podcast. I actually got reached out to a pretty huge guest that is going to be a future guest on this podcast. I'm not going to put the name out there quite yet, but just know it's just crazy, man. It's crazy to pursue something like this and not know what's going to come from it. To have something that, I guess, a year ago, if I would have been doing something and putting this much energy behind it, or having Ray over here shooting these, and I was told that it was only going to be averaging, I shouldn't say only, but if you talked to me a year ago, I would have talked like that. Only 1,000 views here and there, or 1,500 at the most, because it's long form content. I would have looked at you like, I'm not spending my time doing that. What is the purpose of it? Is it generating income? All that stuff that you hear a lot of folks, especially in our generation of creators, say and talk about, because they're more focused on peak performance than peak enjoyment. And on the subject at hand, I've been reading a book that I actually started when I went to my trip in Atlanta, called The 1% Rule by Tommy Baker. Sorry, Tommy. It's called 1% Rule, How to Fall in Love with the Process and Achieve Your Wildest Dreams. I got exposed to this concept of 1% effort daily. I forget which book it was, but the concept is basically to dedicate yourself to at least 1% involvement, 1%, how can I put it, effort daily, every single day of the year towards your major goal. And the concept of that is that if you apply 1%, do the math, after 365 days, that's 365 percentage points that you would have moved yourself towards your ultimate goal, your big goal. It's not about trying to cram all the year worth of work into 1 month. It's not all about trying to get it all done within one day. It's just 1% a day. And which one of us are too busy for 1% a day? What does 1% look like for you? It may be 30 minutes a day. It may be an hour a day. It may be 15 minutes a day. It may be reading 10 pages on a subject that you want to become a specialist or an authority voice on. But that concept really stuck with me. And so I started looking on Amazon for books that really talked about the 1% concept. And even though I'm not going to talk about that in particular within this book, there was a quote that really struck me, or really talking about where things start and where they ultimately end up. Because I think a lot of people have it in their minds that success for major companies like an Instagram or a YouTube just sort of just came overnight. And these things happen, with the people in charge knowing exactly what it is that they want to do. And that's not the actual reality. Tommy goes on to say, the first iteration of your goals is never the end result. The magic is in the pivot. So the first iteration of your goals is like, I want to be a music producer that gets hella placements and whatever, X, Y, and Z. I want to be known all over the world. It went from going from that first iteration to pivoting to, I want to be a producer that sells beats online to independent artists. Even pivoting from that and saying, I just want to make the sounds that producers use as their own sounds in their production. And I'm sure it'll pivot again, which is pretty much, that's life. But he goes on to say, we all believe that growth, success, and achievement in life are linear. Inputs equal outputs, right? Wrong. Our entire life experience tells us otherwise. Life is not linear. It's messy, unpredictable, and chaotic. When we're in the middle of this mess, everything is cloudy and we question what the hell we're doing. And this applies not just to us, it applies to any major company you could think of. Yet a few weeks or months or maybe even a year down the line, we wake up and realize everything was perfectly exactly as it happened. It was perfect exactly as it happened. This is why our mechanisms around success are flawed. They don't allow for the fluidity of the pivot essential for finding more fulfilling path. So finding a more fulfilling path, basically saying that our culture does not support the pivot, right? When you choose to do something different within your production, most folks are going to fight it, especially if you have something that looks successful from the outside. Even though you feel an imbalance within yourself, even though you know that there's more that you could be doing or something different to be more fulfilling, people are not happy about that. People weren't happy with me. People close to me weren't happy with me when I decided to stop pursuing music full time and do YouTube. They were like, what are you doing? Like, this is the prime of your career. You'll never get this back. And we see that was an excellent decision on my part. Thank you very much. Even though times were cloudy and unpredictable and definitely chaotic, the pivot is where the magic lies. He says, when I researched the most successful, impactful, and disrupting companies and people, I noticed all of them had experienced a life-altering pivot outside of their expectation. In the context of business, he gives some examples. YouTube started as a video dating site. Okay, it was discovered people that were not looking for dates, but wanted to share content and pivoted. This is what their findings were. Initially, YouTube was a video dating site.
Hi, my name is Curtis from San Diego, California. I enjoy long walks, and I'm just on this YouTube thing just trying to find the love of my life.
Can you imagine if YouTube would have stuck with that motto? Vimeo would be out of here. But basically what they discovered is that people were not looking for dates. Hello. But wanted to share content. And so guess what? They looked at that and they pivoted. It's a smart decision on their end. Instagram started as a digital check-in app. So like back when Facebook, back when like Facebook, remember those days where, your mama or your auntie would be like checking into places like, I'm at the Olive Garden. I got to check in, let people know I'm here. That's what Instagram started off as. But they discovered people were taking pictures of where they checked in. And then so Instagram said, okay, we're a photo site and now photo and video. You want to keep going down the line? Let's look for some more. Let's see if they got another one. I think the last one they have is Flickr, which, obviously it says Flickr started as an online role-playing game app. What? And then they discovered people were loving the photo sharing feature and pivoted. There are so many companies that have found extreme success, people who have found extreme success when they listened and life was speaking to them. When the added features to what they built were actually the main focus, or what should have been the main focus, or they were getting the message that it should have been the main focus. For those that listened, they stood the test of time. For those that didn't, they got MySpace. For those that didn't listen, they got Snapchat, right? So it's up to you to listen when life is telling you, look, I'm about to throw you an alley-oop. All you got to do is jump in the air, right? Because what these companies did, when you think about YouTube being a dating site, that's probably a lot more complex in terms of, having all the different algorithms to see if you're a perfect match for somebody else is probably a lot more complex than creating a video-focused platform where you can share videos and comment. Now, obviously, he has his own complexities, and we've seen that with the COPPA and all the stuff going on right now. But for them to make that pivot and say, we're not all that stuff we thought we were. We're just this one thing. And if you can focus in on that one thing, it will ultimately equal out the success that you are looking for, everything that you want, which really, when you think about success, let's take away the monetary aspect. Let's take away the fame aspect. what we really want is a sense of fulfillment and a sense of purpose and a sense of I'm providing this value. I'm providing something. My name means something. My time here was not a waste of time. My imprint was made. I did what I was supposed to do. I am aligned and I'm walking in purpose. That's what we really want. And so you find that happens when you simplify things. And this applies, of course, to us as music producers, when you simplify things. And then also when you realize that, man, I came in here wanting placements. I came here wanting this, and that. I wanted to be the next Kanye West. I wanted to and people can make the argument, oh, well, you just didn't make it. And that's why, as a default, you are what you are. But you know what? Is life not working for you and not against you? Life is always working for you. So if I did not, quote unquote, make it in your definition of make it, but I still came out the other end more happy and fulfilled than that other route probably would have made me, am I not as successful as what I intended to be? Something to think about. It's a good place to start this off. A lot of stuff has happened in this last week. Thank you for all of you guys who were showing so much support for the Kyle Beats interview. It was a really great conversation, man. Just to speak really briefly on that, I actually sent him the newest sound pack by Slap Experts, which you can get right now, slapexperts.com, called Cupcaking. And I sent it to a few of the homies really early. I like to try to keep people in the loop. Send it to the homie Simon Servita, Decap, and just folks that I love their sound packs. And I sent it to him. And he asked me if I was like how close I was to a particular area. And I was like, man, I'm actually really close. And he was like, man, well, let's link up and do something. And he came over here. We shot a podcast and we knocked out 2 beats. And he's just a really good dude, man. Really cool person. And it got me thinking. I have had the benefit of meeting these producers that are big online and not running across an asshole yet. Right? Like not running. I know I'm going, it's inevitable because I put it out there in the universe now. It's inevitable that I'm going to meet one that's going to be a jerk and somebody that just wants to get the hell out of my house. But I have not met somebody who had so much Busy Works beats. I met him and he was just as cool. He was even cooler in person. Kyle Beats is no different. Simon Servita. He's a little quiet when he first came in here. Maybe he was just kind of like peeping the scene out. But as time went on, he kind of came out of his shell and he was an amazing human being. Decap. Like these are folks that I see myself still having friendships with after all is said and done with the music. And that's important to me. If you're not a good human being, I don't really give a fuck how many views you have. I don't care how much of a following you have. I don't care how much they share our content together. If I don't rock with you as a human being, it doesn't matter. I would much rather tell you no. And I know that me saying that is actually going to make me more powerful to you, right? Not to be on a power trip. It's going to make me more valuable to you because I said no. When everybody around you is used to saying yes, I said no, and you know that I cannot be bought. My integrity cannot be bought, and that's really important to me. And so, oh my God, I was trying to talk in, swallow, pause at the same time. And that's what, sound like a Simpsons character. But this last week, man, that was a super dope experience to have him come through. Shout out to him for, coming through and doing that and rocking with us. Also, too, somebody brought to my attention, since you guys know that I went in for Cassidy, the rapper Cassidy, who, of course, started to share his production. He's been producing for quite some time. Really, I guess, a good chunk of his career. He hasn't always been vocal about his production, but during a time where he was taking all kind of L's from the battle rap community and they were going in on him, he decided, you know what, I'm going to actually dip into production and share it with the rest of the world. And the first few beats that he shared, people went in. People were clowning him. And I did a video, which I was like, I don't know, man. Like, my pops didn't raise a follower. My pops raised a leader. And so in staying in line with that, I don't know any other way to be. And when I saw that, people were getting their laughs off, some people were saying some funny things, but then I was thinking like, damn, if I was me in that situation, First of all, when my first beats, I had nowhere near the confidence, or if you want to call it delusion, with my beats. My beats were trash and my head was down because I knew they were trash. But I was having so much fun with the process that I was just almost, I wouldn't say that I didn't care, but I wasn't around enough people to the point where it made me ignorant of it actually being below average and subpar and not that good. I enjoyed it too much. But with him, people were clowning the way he was head nodding to his beats, like as if producers. Let's go ahead and debunk that myth first of all. Every music producer on planet Earth has an ugly ass head nod when you're listening to your beats. You just don't realize you have an ugly ass head nod. You may think you look cool, but everything, it's almost like Dave Chappelle said it. He said everything looks cooler in slow motion, right? Everything looks cooler. Everything sounds cooler when it's your beat and you actually like it. And you like, that's one head nod. What's another head nod? Shaking the head. Uh-oh, Nas trying to break in. You can close that. Yeah, you can close that. Nas was trying to get on this podcast. He don't like me talking about producer head nods like that. Every producer has a ugly ass head nod. You got the stank face shaking my head. I can't believe you have no idea what I just did face. You got the smiling, I think I'm cool face. You got the dude that's off beat and he looks like he's nodding his head to the hi-hats or something, right? You got somebody with the hand, they put the hand motions and we all got ugly ass characteristics when we are bobbing our heads to a beat and we feel it so much because we feel like, fam, I finally got one. We all got that, but it's just easier to pick at somebody because everybody recognizes who it is. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody who was as big as he was could fall from grace so hard. And it's like, it's not even a fall from grace. It's just somebody who has really the heart, the audacity to share and document his early process. You know, the same thing that Gary Vee's telling all of you dipshits out there to do. You know, what Gary Vee says, document, don't create, document. The man is documenting on his Instagram, you dipshits. How many of you are out there afraid to document because you're so insecure about people talking shit or not caring about what you're doing? Now you're the same ones flipping around and pointing at him like, ha, his beats sound like trash. When in all actuality, I don't respect the person who has just a judgment to stand behind anywhere as close as I respect the person that has the audacity and heart to put something out there and stand behind it no matter what the people out there are going to judge it as. I respect that person for having the balls to actually put something out. If you haven't created, sit down and shut the fuck up. That's all I'll say. I'm sorry. I got vulgar today. I'm sorry. I may have some new Christian hip hop community folks in this who will watch it for the first time. I'm sorry for being so offensive to the ears, but I am being very real about how I feel because it's just that contradiction. I don't like to see, and people are like, well, he's famous. He doesn't need your support. Huh? What? What is your logic at? But I get it. It's the internet. It's the internet. Don't boomer in the internet. Okay, Curtis, don't boomer in the internet. I get it. Okay, I'm done. But I did want to go ahead and highlight the fact that the reason why I'm even talking about this is because somebody brought to my attention that he had that his new production, mind you, this only a month ago that video went viral of him playing beats that he was feeling that people thought were terrible. And a month later, not only did he revamp that beat and actually add more up-to-date sounds, it sounds better and he's rapping over it and he killed it. Then on top of that, he has new beats that he's putting up there. And I'm like, is this even the same producer? And it made me kind of chuckle because I was like, And I might sound judgmental when I say this, but it's funny that he had growth within a month that I see some of you nutcase producers not have in 4 and 5 years. Beats sound like, nipple head ass drums in year 1. And then year 2, your ass gets sausage fat there and it says, And then you start getting to that third year, and then things don't actually flip around for you. You start to turn into the person that knows it all, and the beats sound like that SpongeBob SquarePants meme, right? You end up sounding like all of them horns and stuff going off. And then that fourth year, you become bitter, and you start hating everybody in their first year that sound better than you in your third year. And this is your progress. This is your process. This man did in a month. And I could tell by the way he in there. Like, he in there and he ain't changed the background. He ain't changed nothing in that studio. That man been in there working. And the progress I've seen, you could still listen to him and say, I don't like his beats. Fine, you don't like it, but you have to respect the growth. And there's so many of you out there with a judgment about it. And y'all have not grown. You nutcases. You head asses. You have not gotten better. You continue to add multiple sound goodizers to your master channel. You adding sausage fattener to your drums. You're like, it's a Curtis King type beat, but your beat is just loud, sloppy, and nasty. You need to do some soul searching. I'm about to piss some people off today, and that's fine. Because I had to get pissed off before I got better. Right? I needed people, when I came up, I needed people that got on my head. I needed people that told me your sound selection is the things that nightmares are made of. I had to be told that. I had to be told that, is this supposed to be like 8-bit? No. Oh, because it sounds dated. It sounds like Ray laughing. It sounds like a video game. Your beats sound video gamey. What does that mean? They're whack. I had to be told that. Your sample chops are terrible. Why? Because, I don't know, you're just whack. I had to be told that because at some point I got tired of not just them saying it. I got tired of me feeling like I was performing below what I was capable of doing. And instead of being bitter, instead of turning that energy outward and trying to change everybody else, and trying to lower the bar so everybody else was as bad as I was, I put that energy back into me and said, if I gotta turn off the rest of the world and all the noise around so that if I gotta lock myself in this studio the whole summer, like Kanye said, I'm willing to do that because I love it that much. But a lot of you are making beats for the sake of an audience outside of you. You're only making music because you think it's going to finally be the reason people think that you are cool. You're only making music because you want people to accept you. And I'm not here to say that that's a wrong thing, because we all got to walk our own paths. You got to determine if it's the wrong thing. That's the wrong thing for me. You got to rock your path. But a lot of you are doing music for the wrong reasons, and it's the reason why you cannot compete. Like, you can't even get in the arena with some of these producers because they're not worried about looking cool. They're spiking dopamine. They're sitting in their studio trying to figure out why one snare and its texture doesn't quite give them the dopamine fix that this other rugged snare that they have tweaked and perfected and added all kind of stuff to and all kind of equalizing, and they really sat with it, and they actually will spend 30 minutes just trying to find the perfect snare. Those are the people that they're not competing with nobody else except for the dopamine spikes in their own mind. Right? That's when I got out the mindset of trying to compete with other producers. You can't compete with somebody over there trying to spike their own dopamine. If your dopamine spike is copying somebody else, you're going to always only be as good as what you copied. You'll never be better. You'll never be better. So at some point in time, I had to take responsibility and say to myself, okay, if I'm going to be the greatest that I can be, I must focus in on my shortcomings, right? And not necessarily focus on my shortcomings to improve them, but recognize that these are shortcomings and claim them. Because here's the magic that happens when you claim your shortcomings. You start to now macro focus on your strengths. And then you start to apply steroids to your strengths, right? The producers that you look up to right now, you may look at them as well-rounded talents. But I guarantee you, from somebody who has worked with a lot of my favorite music producers, and the ways that I thought that they were They were like efficient in all levels. There's some things that they sucked at. But the things that they're great at, I couldn't hold a candle to. I can't touch them there. Some of them may not know all the technical aspects of their DAW. But when they sit down there to play some keys, oh my God. When they sit down there to evoke an emotion through their arrangement, they're the GOATs and you can't touch them. A lot of us focus on the wrong things. We focus on the wrong things and we're so damn short-sighted because we want everybody to be an idealistic reflection of how we are. We want people to be a reflection of how we are. And I even got to claim that for myself. Maybe that's the basis of this conversation today is me trying to get people to think more like me. And that's such an ego-driven thing. Maybe I should fix that. But you know some damn truth in what I said today. You nutcases. Aside from that, though, I want to speak also too, since we started this off with, the first interpretation of your goals are never what the end result is, right? If we're gonna start off there, I cannot speak on that without speaking about this project that has been announced. It's been announced for like a few weeks now, but for those of you that don't know, I've produced last year. The homie Murs, the new homie D1, came through this studio right here and recorded a full album over sample beats, right? What I originally came into this game doing, sample music from like 60s, 70s, soul music, all from TrackLib, mind you. When I met Murs about 9 years ago, I met him because a buddy of mine, Noah James, was campaigning to be on Murs' festival called Paid Dues. And Noah came to me and was like, yo, you want to roll the Sunset for this album signing? Murs and Terrence Martin are releasing the album and Murs is doing a signing and you can go and meet Murs. And at the time it was like, man, like that's like, even still now, he's a legend to me. He's a legend. He's literally a living legend. And no pun intended. He's literally a living legend. And to meet him that was huge because I remember listening to him like literally in high school. And here I am now as an adult, as a producer. And I'm like, man, from me being a fan of Ninth Wonder first, and then hearing them come together, he has the perfect tone and tonality and approach and timbre to approaching sample records. Him and sample records are like peanut butter and jelly, right? So many classic records came from Murs and Ninth Wonder. If you don't know, if you've never heard of Murs, go check them out on Apple Music and go check out songs like Bad Man, Dirty Girl. He did that with Slug from Atmosphere. Like just go look at his top songs and you'll see what I'm talking about. Go do your research. And so I always had it as a goal of mine as a producer, right? One of my major goals, I want to work with Jay-Z. Like I have the drums that I feel like Jay-Z would just talk his stuff on. I want to produce for Jay-Z. Oh my gosh, that'd be such a huge thing for me. And then amongst that list of about 10, work with Andre 3000, work with Sade. I had on my list to work with Murs, but specifically to create a sample-based record. I just want to do one sample-based song for him. That's why you see me do a behind the beat video of a song he did called The Strangers when he joined Strange Music. And I literally made pianos to sample him just so I could get the sample aesthetic. That's how badly I wanted to make a sample record for him. Fast forward, over the 9 years, I asked him, I said, man, let's do it. But we ran into sample clearance issues and that, he really wasn't trying to push in that direction because it can get sticky because of the sample clearances. Now enter TrackLib, who makes it a lot easier to clear samples and to go through their huge database. And the fact that I had a relationship with them, I reached out to them and they're making it a very smooth process. And so something clicked. I was like, man, this may be an opportunity for me to make a sample-based song for Murs. And I approached them with the idea. They were fans of Murs. I approached Murs with the idea. He was a fan of the idea. And fast forward another year, and now he involved D1, who was huge in the independent realm, to collaborate on an album called He's the Christian, I'm the Rapper, all produced by Curtis King. So I asked God, I asked whoever you believe in, the universe, I asked for just one song. And I came back with a full album. I would say that you attribute that to persistence, but there were times where I felt like it never happened. I would say that you have to credit hard work, but I was going to work hard regardless if it happened or not. I just feel like you have to leave yourself open to almost like a childlike optimism for your dreams. Even when things look absolutely ridiculous. When things look like there's no way that's going to happen, and they very well may never happen. But nothing has ever happened from somebody who thinks nothing is ever going to happen. But on the other end, there's a lot more success for the person that thought there's a possibility. It's possible. And that's all you have to say to yourself. If you can at least open yourself up, if you're somebody who's just a pessimist about things, I'm not saying be anything else. Don't be anything else. Be who you are, because that pessimism in some shape or form is going to open up a transformation that is ultimately going to make you maybe less pessimistic, or at least make your pessimism profitable. There's a lot of people right now who are great lawyers because of their pessimism. They're pessimistic about the stories they're being told, right? They are, nah, I don't believe that. I think there's more to this. They just found a way to monetize the things that other people look at as character flaws. Same thing for you. So leave yourself open to the possibility of possibility, is what I'm saying. Is it possible? It's possible. If you can at least open yourself up to that, you leave just enough air to come through that window. Just enough air for some magic to happen. And I continue to work with Murs. I told Murs, I said, you may be the last artist that I work with, right? Especially this year, since I'm focused 100% on sound design. I said, you may be the last person I work with, artist-wise. I'm tired of the politics. I'm tired of the game. I'm tired. I'm dog tired. Like old boy said in Green Mile, I'm dog tired, boss. I'm tired, man. But this is crazy. I am producing, and on top of that, it's a quote unquote Christian hip hop album, which is even wilder to me. Right? God is the focus of this album. And it's crazy because he was already doing this before the Jesus is King project came out. It just happened to where the Jesus is King came out first, and then Kanye did what Kanye does. But it's out. You know, it's not out. It's coming out. And there's 2 singles that have already dropped that I'm excited. I'm excited that I was able to scratch one of those things I guess some people call off their bucket list. But that's kind of my hip hop bucket list, is that I'm able to get a sample record, like one of my favorite producers of all time, Ninth Wonder, and create some classic songs that I feel like will be songs that will live on. Because soul is a timeless. It's the essence. Soul, man. Soul is forever. Right? One of the most timeless songs I feel like in our generation of hip hop is Ignorance is Bliss by Kendrick Lamar. The lyricism is elite. The production, shout out to the homie Willie B, who we definitely got to have on here, is ahead of its time. And the story that he's telling is a story that could be told in 2020, 2009, or 1996. It's timeless. And so, that being said, I'm grateful to be a part of that. I'm also grateful that we were able to release our newest kit with Slap Experts, Cupcaking. Hey. Cupcaking. It's available now. Over 2 gigabytes of crazy sounds. How you do anything is how you do everything. This is the same. I'm telling you, we could have put this out for sale and people would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe that you allowed me to pay for this. It's that crazy. Aaron Barber he did some amazing work on the keys to the point where you could literally, I'm going to do that today in a video that I'm working on with Ray. I'm going to sample one of his piano things that he did and piano loops and then make a crazy beat out of it. Sample based and show you how it has the textures and the layers of classic hip hop, right? The same stuff we were sampling from the 60s and 70s was made by a genius with the fingers in Arizona in 2020. So we're trying to create that essence. We're trying to create that opportunity. 100% royalty free. So please take advantage of that. Shout out to the homie YLM, your local musician who gave you all those beautiful guitar riffs and guitar loops. Shout out to the homie Oh Gosh Leotis, who of course is my counterpart with the drums and the loops. Shout out to the homie Nabian, who added some melody loops in there as well. I added some melody loops. Pearl Manhattan, who gave some fire vocal samples for us to mess around with. And then shout out to me for giving y'all some of the most cupcaking and the most corny stuff that you could ever add to your lo-fi beats. I just couldn't believe that you would do this to me. I promise I'm nothing like those other guys. Shout out to all the cupcaking I did in that kit. Go take advantage of that. And that concludes today's Curtis King podcast. Thank you so much for showing your support. Thank you for riding with me. Thank you for those on there on my YouTube. Thank you for being patient with this process. I am learning this new way of going about things where this is not about the views. This is about creating value within the ecosystem of my brand, aka my reputation, which is always going to be to give value. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Share this with somebody. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave a comment below and tell me what mostly resonated with you. What did you resonate mostly with what I shared today? I want to know. In this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. It's Curtis King of SlapExperts.com. Have a good one.